Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with Tracy again. Hi, Tracy. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
And today we're talking about what businesses can actually do to support either bringing more women into tech or actually supporting the people they've got within their business. So this is kind of an extension from what we did 2 weeks ago, where we started from, and we saw kind of the need to kind of pull this out in a bit more detail. So Tracy's gone away and had a look at some of the stats. She's kind of pulled a few together, and she's got her like statistician's head on. So tell us what you see. What are the things that are standing out for you when you look around all the statistics we've got? What is the current situation?
Yeah, I definitely fell down a few rabbit holes in the last couple of weeks trying to bring this together. But yeah, in terms of like the general lay of the land for women in tech, is that in the US, there are over 300,000 software engineers and only 25.1% of those are women. In the UK, about 17% of workers in the tech sector are women. And then proportion of women working as system designers or IT business analysts are falling to 14%. But what I also noticed in my research is that women are leaving tech. And actually in the States, representation of women in big tech fell by over 2%. And in terms of women leadership, for every one woman that is promoted, 2 women are leaving.
And I mean, so, they don't sound like big numbers, do they? But, you know, when we're talking such small numbers, I guess that's quite significant.
Yeah, I think what really struck me was the fact that women are continuing to leave. And there was definitely been other stats as well, like about by the age of 45, 50% of the women that have entered tech will have left it, which is like, that's what was really quite startling for me. And so I dug in a little bit deeper about, you know, why are women leaving? And the answers were actually kind of quite empowering, in the sense that women are leaving to get more advancement on their careers. So maybe they feel, you had a wonderful stat from me the other day, Sarah, about like, I think it was 65% of women that are in tech that do not believe that there's any way forward for their own careers. So women are leaving to find more advancement. They're also trying to promote flexibility for themselves and for their families, to like look after their kind of like, make sure that they prioritize whatever's going on in their lives. They also want to have a more manageable workload, avoiding burnout, because women are seeing much higher burnout rates than men at executive levels in tech. And then also, they're also prioritizing moving to companies who themselves prioritize DEI initiatives, with 74%, according to STEMwomen.com, 74% of women are ranking diversity initiatives as extremely or very important when it comes to trying to find their next job.
That's super important, because actually what I've seen quite a lot, or I don't think I've spoken to one woman who's not doing something on the side of her job. And all of these, like, they're almost like all add-on jobs that we have on terms of diversity or engagement, or, you know, all these other things that we take on because we're passionate about, we want to do them. And they're kind of added on top. So I guess this plays into the burnout discussion. It plays into, like you say, women actually going out now and being more clear as to what they're searching for. And I guess there's an increasing opportunity for women based on everything else that's going on. It's something that I keep seeing, is I feel that women do have the choice now to go and search for something that suits them, search for something that they're interested in.
Absolutely. And I think what I think is really empowering is the fact that companies are recognizing the fact that this change is happening. And what I'm seeing more of is, it's definitely in tech, is more opportunities for flexible working, hybrid working, or part-time. And actually, there's a massive increase in likelihood of women applicants if you maximize the fact that these roles are in this particular way, that more people are willing to actually apply in the first place. So there is, like, I think there's a bit of movement, and I think this is post-COVID, definitely more than anything. But I think that's probably one of the positives coming out of it, in the sense that we have been challenged about the way that we are able to work. but actually as well, there's also numbers as well that there was 1 in 10 women are only interested in being on site full time. So that's like 9 out of 10 women are interested in working hybrid or some other combination, basically.
Yeah, I can see that. And I guess the numbers probably are different for men, but I also challenge that they're significantly different, because I think a lot of men have also got a lot out of it. Even, look at my husband and other people. Yeah, and I think one of the things you just touched on is really important, is about making things attractive to women. And you're talking about job adverts, you're talking about other things, but actually this goes the whole way through the, if you want to call the problems that we have with attracting women or girls even into tech, is like the subjects aren't made attractive to girls. The marketing's not made attractive to women. So I think that brings up a bigger issue, but maybe we go on to, okay, so what are the things that we see that are holding women back right now? And I quite often say that the three biggest problems that I see that hold women in tech back are, feeling stuck or powerless. They feel like they've tried a few times, they've been worn down, they're feeling like, oh, do I just sit here? Do I give up? Because I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I've got security. So there's that element of it. Then there's the kind of almost imposter syndrome. Am I really good enough? We're always told in all our development reviews what we're not good at. And this drives this behavior. And quite often with women, this is amplified, that anything that they do wrong gets amplified. And you see this in kind of Mary Ann Siegart's book, The Authority Gap, and other things. This is clearly now statistically shown that this is something that almost women feel that over time, like I said, they're getting worn down because they're questioning their own ability, and also the transferability of the skills and experience that they have. So that's number 2. Number 3 is a lack of appreciation. They're feeling unheard, unseen, I want to say unloved, and this isn't a very business word, but honestly, that's what it is. They're, like this, we said, they're doing over and above usually. And I think going back to statistics, 79% of women believe that they're working harder than their male colleagues. Wow. Just to kind of maintain where they are today. So this feeling of underappreciation really stems from this feeling that they're generally working, in their perception, working harder.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, sorry to interrupt 1 second, but like I also saw some statistic. I was just trying to find it, but I can't find it. There was also a wonderful statistic that basically said that women are not really given the full credit for the work that they're doing compared to men. Basically, like that someone will kind of like undermine them, more likely to be undermined for the work that they are doing. And women are also more likely to be taking on more of the DEI initiatives by themselves without any extra pay or recognition, even though it's something they're really passionate about.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's kind of the damned if you do, damned if you don't type scenario. Okay, so let's flip this over. So if those are the problems, what is it we see that women need to thrive? And, I've got a few, and I'd be interested to hear what you think on this, because the 3 things I've got is a clear excitement or alignment to what the business stands for, what the business is trying to do. So values, vision, actually really feeling like they buy into it. And this is one of the things that I was kind of lacking in my last roles. The second thing is like being challenged, feeling like they're being challenged to grow, and they're not scared to fail. So there's both sides of that. It's the growth side, but also this almost psychological safety. And then the third one, which is so overlooked, it's untrue, is having a network of relationships around the business that support you, that you can turn to when things get tough, that you can ask to support you or speak up for you in support of you in meetings and other things. And I think this is something that actually women have really struggled with and continue to really struggle with, is building that really strong network of connections around the business.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like the thing that really resonated with me is the last point that you made. For me, like I call that circle of trust. Circle of trust. It's something that's really, really, we talked about it in one of our first chats actually. And for me, it's what really helped me get to where I was, where I got to, basically, was having that group of people that I took the time. I mean, it does take a lot of effort, that you have to nurture and build these relationships to have people that are really going to support you. But then also that, you know, you have to go out and do the work and find those people, find your allies. But yeah, for me, that's definitely been what's helped me the most. And with those relationships, when I have had really bad moments of imposter syndrome, which I still have now, basically, I have it all the time. It's having people that will really have your back as well, like having that space of safety is so important. And I think that
up clearly without feeling like you're going to be judged.
Also this, yeah, I think it's what I'm seeing a lot of bigger companies doing is creating like women's groups, basically. So if they have like women's groups that people can connect and share stories, it's been incredibly empowering for the women that's there, and then also builds the opportunity for mentorships as well. Is so important to kind of really help leverage your confidence and kind of get you into bigger positions.
Oh, I see the topic for the next one, because you've got both sides of this. Obviously, just having groups of women together is super important. And it's about bringing the men on this journey and having kind of the allyship and creating that. But just as you were talking, it's like, oh, we could completely go down this as a rabbit hole, because I think there is a power to it. And there's a way to actually open it up that it creates more value than just, and I say just very lightly, like women connecting, because that is important. And there's more that we can get out of those type of groups, because I often feel like they fill gaps in the training that's missing in the training of a big company, and it's actually covered through these groups. So the men actually miss out. But anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole. So the bottom line was for today, what is it we can see that businesses can do more of to either support the women they have or to help them find and bring in more women to start creating better balances in the business?
Yeah, I think on the attracting side, so bringing more kind of women applicants, it's all about kind of positive action, basically. So for me, like I really do think that companies need to have really good metrics in place, because if companies are not paying attention to how they are performing at the moment and they don't have an idea of where they are right now, then how are they going to know how things are going to be better? So if you have an idea of metrics with regards to number of applicants and having like male versus female on particular job applications, then you can check like how applications are resonating. And then also making sure that
the benefit of big data, isn't it? We can now do this. It's so easy.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that there has to be like I don't want to say a level of sophistication because that's too strong, but there has to be a level of consciousness or awareness in your performance over time, basically. And so you really need to have a firm understanding of where you are. And then to ensure that you're going to be attracting women in the first place, you have to be aware of the language that you're choosing to use in your job descriptions. And this is something which is it's a really kind of hot topic, I would say, about kind of masculine and feminine and gender neutral words, basically, when it comes to actually putting these job descriptions down. Because, and this is something I didn't actually have an appreciation for until very recently, but like the words like using the word like ninja, like saying like you are a management ninja, or using words like driven, competitive, lead, then these words are actually going to be deterring women because it's conceived to be as a masculine word. So there are other words that you can use which could be more feminine, or gender neutral was obviously like the best place to be. And then also what I think is really important is to make it really clear what you're actually offering. So not only about the job description, but actually about the salary and the benefits. Because women, there was a LinkedIn study showed that 68% of women are more interested in the salary and benefits compared to 58% of men. So we are more interested in if you have maternity, paternity leave, if you've got the flexi time, the part-time options, and any other kind of benefits. Women are looking at this and they're looking at salary. So make it really, really clear if you're offering that, and if you're offering it from the beginning, as opposed to something that you have to earn.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I saw a great idea for a startup from a great CTO in the UK. I'll tag her on this afterwards. To say, she's created this idea as to how you can basically create a waterline, and only the candidates that actually meet the requirements. Obviously, the requirements need to be gender neutral, but then you don't see anything other than the candidates that pop through the filters. So you don't actually know until they're actually in there. Their gender, where they come from, their religion, all this other stuff. It literally takes it all out of the equation. And again, these are the super interesting, exciting parts of technology that we can now go and do. It's all possible.
Yeah, exactly. I think unconscious bias is something which is really important for recruiters, basically, to be able to put things in, because people are more likely to click on a male profile than a woman's profile, basically, for applications. So like the bias comes from the very, very beginning, and we could definitely go down a rabbit hole about the kind of standards which come from like men and are decided by men in terms of what is appropriate for a leader. But I'll write that down.
The one, I guess there are two additional things that I bring up is, once you've got people in, it's living your values, promoting and talking about your values in your development cells, people getting like appraised against the values of the business, how they're living the values of the business, how they're living within the team, how they're supporting the team. These very much supportive values that pretty much all businesses have. But there are very few that are actually integrating it into their performance reviews and how they promote, their promotion criteria. So again, another important one. And bottom line, I'd challenge any business that's serious about this, that actually you need a box on your business approval sheets that get signed off at the top level of the business all the way through. How does this honor our values, the decision that we're taking, and how might it dishonor? It doesn't mean that you have to take the decision because, but it brings awareness to actually, what are we doing here? Is there something we actually need to go and have a look at? And this shouldn't be a checkbox exercise. This should be done because it's important to your business. If you've got them as your values, this is how you internalize them. This is how you create the drivers to live them within the business, and allowing anybody within the business to challenge you, be you the CEO or be you the cleaner, on living the values of the business. Because, this is, again, what women see when they see this disconnect between what's being said and what's being done, what's lived within the business. The mistrust occurs because you can't order it. And actually, this isn't just women, this is everybody. We're human beings. And yet we pick it up very easily when what's written on the wall versus what's actually happening in the business. And I would challenge anybody who's going out and looking for new jobs at the minute, check it out. Go speak to lots of people around the business, see how it's lived, understand whether what's being said is actually internalized within this business. Because if it's important to you, then, take that extra step. Give yourself the opportunity to find an environment where you're going to thrive.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as you were talking there, I was thinking about some other research that I'm doing recently, and it's about positive action versus positive discrimination. And I think that what you're sort of saying very much like aligns with a company. Is the company seen to be taking positive action? So like positive action is, say, for example, to increase the amount of women applicants for the job, that they go to fairs, they're making the right connections, they're basically kind of going out there, they are kind of supporting women just in general. Whereas like positive discrimination is to say that this person is a woman, we hired her, whether or not she is qualified for the job compared to other applicants, basically. So, as you sort of say, Sarah, about like it's all about the mindset of the company from the very, very top. Are they exuding, is it very clear that they are taking DEI properly, like taking it very seriously and it's part of the values of the business, or are they doing it as a checkbox exercise? So that's something that people are becoming more conscious.
You saw my thinking going in there when you were talking about positive discrimination, because these are the examples that don't benefit men or women.
Yeah,
and this
exactly.
equality is not about making the pie smaller for one portion. It's actually about increasing the size of the pie so that everyone's got more opportunities. And at the same time, bringing the back into balance that we've got more than 50% women in this world, and yet very few women, as you rightly said right back at the start, are actually in leadership positions in the biggest companies, which are actually some of the biggest influencers that we have on what's going on in the world. Wow. Perfect. Well, I think we've got a few more topics coming up. If there are if there are any other topics that anyone else would like to see, please send Tracy a note, send me a note, send both of us a note. But we want to start having these conversations. We want to have them live. We want to have them unfiltered. And we're hoping that by doing this, you get the opportunity to actually understand what's there for you, because maybe there are things that you're feeling uncomfortable about that you can't quite put into words. So please, we want to start shining a light onto these areas that aren't being discussed. I don't know, Tracy, anything else from your side?
Yeah, I think it's just like, what are you curious about as well? Like, we dived into the details and we brought information that we think is like useful to share. What are you more curious about as well? And like, we're happy to kind of dive in a little bit more and have a good old chat about it as well. So yeah.
Plus, if you're another woman in this area who also wants to share her voice on this platform with Tracy and I, please drop us a note. We've got a few people already lined up who are willing to kind of come online and speak openly about this. But actually, the more we raise each other's voices, the more we hear different voices, not just us two, then obviously the more we normalize this conversation. So please feel free, come join us. We'd be more than happy. Take care for now. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, everyone. Ciao.